The scarcity mindset. Imagine you running late for a crucial meeting. Your mind goes into overdrive, focused on a single goal, getting there on time. You ignore a text from a friend. You forget to grab your lunch. You might even be taking risks you normally wouldn't. This intense, narrow focus is a state psychologists call tunneling. It tests the defining feature of the scarcity mindset. When our brain perceives a lack of something important, be it time, money, or even social connection, it redirects all our mental bandwidth to solving that immediate problem. This can be an advantage. It helps us find creative solutions under pressure. But this hyperfocus comes at a steep cost. By tunneling on what is urgent, we neglect what's important. We lose our long-term perspective. This is why someone short on cash might take out a high-interest payday loan. They solve the immediate problem of rent, but create a much larger debt problem for the future. The tunnel of scarcity blinded them to the consequences. This isn't a failure of character, it's a predictable cognitive response. Our brains are simply not built to make wise, long-term decisions when we feel like we don't have enough. And this mental trap isn't just about money. It quietly dictates how we manage our time, our health, and our relationships. The unsettling part is realizing that this cognitive tunnel could be shaping your own decisions, right now, without you even noticing. Instant gratification. A child sits alone in a room. On the table in front of them is a single marshmallow. The deal is simple: you can eat this one treat now, or, if you can wait 15 minutes until the researcher returns, you can have two. This famous experiment captured a fundamental human conflict, the battle between impulse and patience. What the researchers were really observing was the powerful pull of instant gratification. Deep in our brains, a neurochemical called dopamine drives this process. It is often called the pleasure molecule, but that is not quite right. Dopamine is about anticipation and motivation. It is the neurological itch that promises a reward is coming, pushing us to seek it out. And today, our environment is perfectly tuned to scratch that itch. Every notification on your phone, every episode that autoplays, every item that arrives with next day shipping, these are our modern marshmallows. These digital triggers and streamlined services are meticulously engineered to activate that dopamine pathway, offering a tiny, immediate satisfaction. The companies behind them understand this brain chemistry better than we do. They aren't just selling a product or a service, they are selling the elimination of waiting. We've become experts at getting the first marshmallow, instantly and endlessly. The only question is, what happens to our ability to wait for anything else? Unplanned spending. It begins with a simple mission. You only need one item: milk, batteries, a bag of coffee. You refocus, determined to be in and out. But somewhere between the automatic doors and the checkout line, a subtle transformation occurs. Your basket, once empty, is now heavy with things you hadn't planned for. A new flavor of seltzer, a magazine with a captivating headline, a gadget that promises to make life just a little bit easier. This is not the personal failure of discipline. It's the result of a meticulously crafted environment. Retail architects design a deliberate path to purchase. Essential items are often placed at the far corners of the store, forcing you to navigate a maze of tempting displays. Eye-level shelves hold the most profitable products, while end caps feature items bundled for a perceived discount. The entire layout is engineered to maximize your exposure and trigger impulse. Every choice presented is a small test of your resolve. The small dopamine rush from an unexpected treat, the fear of missing out on a limited time sale, these are powerful human motivators. Online, this process is amplified, refined by algorithms that predict your desires. It leaves you wondering, when you reach for your wallet for that unplanned item, who's really making the decision? The debt cycle, it starts with a simple transaction. You borrow money today that you promise to pay back tomorrow. This is credit. On a small scale, it's a car loan or a mortgage. But when an entire economy embraces this idea, something powerful happens. Credit allows spending to grow faster than income, fueling a boom. During this boom, everyone feels richer. People borrow to invest or to buy things they couldn't otherwise afford. Companies borrow to expand. The spending drives up incomes and asset values. Stock markets climb. House prices soar. It creates a self-reinforcing cycle of optimism. Because everyone feels wealthy, they borrow and spend even more, pushing asset prices even higher. This prosperity feels like it will last forever. But a fundamental limit is eventually reached. The debts, which are promises to deliver money in the future, begin to grow faster than the income needed to service them. To cool the overheating economy, the central bank might raise interest rates, making borrowing more expensive. This is the turning point. The cost of carrying that mountain of debt suddenly becomes too heavy. The cycle reverses. People and companies, unable to keep up with payments, are forced to sell their assets, When everyone sells at once, prices plummet. The house that was your greatest asset is now your biggest liability. The wealth that felt so real evaporates. The boom has turned to bust, and a painful process known as deleveraging begins. Lifestyle inflation. The email finally arrives. The promotion you've been working for is yours. It comes with a new title, new responsibilities, and a $10,000 raise. The first feeling is relief. Then, almost immediately, a mental shopping list forms. That slightly bigger apartment in the nicer neighborhood is no longer a dream, it is a real possibility. The old car with the mysterious rattle can be replaced with something new, something reliable, something with a monthly payment. Slowly, almost without notice, your habits begin to change. Takeout happens 3 nights a week instead of 1. The weekly grocery bill climbs as premium brands fill the cart. That gym membership gets upgraded to the one with the sauna. Each decision feels small, justified. A reward for hard work. This is lifestyle inflation in action. It is the gradual, silent expansion of your spending to meet, and sometimes exceed, your rising income. The danger is that this creates a new, more expensive baseline. The 2-bedroom apartment becomes a necessity. The daily $5 coffee is no longer a treat, but a vital part of the morning routine. Before you know it, you're earning significantly more than you were 2 years ago, but your savings account looks exactly the same. The financial pressure hasn't vanished, it is just wearing a more expensive suit. You're trapped by a comfort you can't afford to lose, running faster just to stay in the same place. It's a quiet phenomenon that redefines need without you ever noticing. Single income dependency. For generations, the model was simple. One person went to work. That single paycheck was enough to buy a house, raise a family, and build a comfortable life. It was the foundation of the middle-class dream, a symbol of stability and success. The entire economic system was built around this predictable, linear path. A person's loyalty to a company was rewarded with job security, turning one's salary into a lifetime of financial safety. That reality feels like ancient history now. Today, relying on one income isn't just a choice, it's a gamble. It means the entire financial well-being of a household rests on a single point of failure. One unexpected layoff, one serious illness, one corporate restructuring, and the whole system can collapse like a house of cards. The modern economy is defined by volatility, not stability. Jobs that were once considered safe are now vulnerable to automation, outsourcing, or the simple whims of the market. This dependency creates a unique and intense pressure. The sole earner carries the weight of everyone's future on their shoulders, where any professional stumble has immediate consequences at home. For the non-earning partner, it can mean a loss of financial autonomy and a constant, low-level anxiety about what would happen if that one income source disappeared. The architecture of this lifestyle was built for a world that no longer exists. A world of pensions and 40 years at the same company. So when that single pillar is knocked out, what happens to the entire structure it was meant to support? Neglecting self-investment. We often think of investment in terms of stocks, property, or a new business venture. It is an external act putting resources into something with the hope of a future return. But the most critical asset we possess is often the most neglected, ourselves. This isn't about spa days or luxury vacations. It's about the deliberate, consistent act of maintaining and upgrading your own capabilities. Think of it like a car. You can have the most expensive model on the market, but if you never change the oil, rotate the tires, or service the engine, its performance will inevitably decline. First, it becomes less efficient. Then, things start to break. Eventually, it ends up stranded on the side of the road. Neglecting self-investment works the same way. It's the skipped workout, the unread book, the online course you bought but never started. Each is a small, seemingly insignificant act of deferral. The rationale is always practical. There is no time. The project at work is too demanding. The family needs you. We treat personal development as a luxury item, something to get to when everything else is settled. But the list of demands never gets shorter. While we are busy servicing everything and everyone else, our own engine is quietly seizing up. The debt we accumulate isn't financial, it is a debt against our future potential, our health, and our own relevance. And that debt always comes due. For social circles, imagine you decide to start a small business on the side. The first person you tell, a close friend, asks why you do want the extra stress. Another jokes that you'll be back to watching TV with them in a month. This isn't malice. It is a social immune system at work, attacking anything that deviates from the group's accepted normal. Human beings are wired to calibrate to their environment. Your social circle sets the baseline for what is considered ambitious, acceptable, or even possible. If the people around you constantly complain about their finances but never read a book about money, that behaviour becomes normalised. If they mock people who try new things, you learn quickly that trying is a social risk. This isn't about good or bad people. It's about a kind of social gravity. When one person attempts to raise their personal standard, the group often instinctively works to pull them back to the established baseline. It's a quiet, powerful force that maintains the status quo. Over time, this gravity doesn't just stall your personal growth, it shrinks your world. You aren't exposed to new ideas, different career paths, or healthier habits because they simply don't exist in your immediate orbit. The most challenging part is that from inside, this pressure rarely feels like a cage. It just feels like friendship. Financial literacy, for millions of people, a pay stub or a credit card statement feels like a document written in a foreign language. The numbers are there, but their true meaning is lost in a fog of acronyms and fine print. This isn't a personal failing. It is a symptom of a much larger condition, financial illiteracy. It is more than just not knowing how to budget. It is the inability to grasp the fundamental concepts that govern our economic lives. Simple compound interest, the silent erosion of inflation, the basic mechanics of a 401 or a mortgage. Without this knowledge, we are navigating a complex system blindfolded. This blindness has a tangible cost. It shows up as crippling debt accepted by teenagers who don't understand interest rates. It materializes as families living one emergency away from disaster because the concept of a safety net was never taught. This gap in understanding also creates the perfect environment for predatory lenders and sophisticated scams to thrive, preying on hope and ignorance in equal measure. The strange part is how we got here. Money remains one of society's great taboos, a topic shrouded in shame or considered impolite for the dinner table. It is a critical life skill that is almost entirely absent from our formal education, leaving generations to learn by making costly, real-world mistakes. We are taught history and biology, but the language of the system we must participate in every single day is left for us to figure out on our own. The blame game, the project deadline is missed. A glass shatters on the floor. Before the dust settles, the search begins. Not for a solution, but for a culprit. This instinctive sound fault is more than just a bad habit, it's a powerful psychological shield. Blame deflects the sharp edges of accountability, protecting our fragile sense of competence from the sting of failure. It is a deeply ingrained defense mechanism. When we succeed, we readily credit our own skill and intelligence. That a plus on the exam. Pure genius. That promotion. Years of hard work paying off. But when we fail, the call suddenly becomes external. The test was unfair. The market shifted unexpectedly. The instructions were vague. This isn't simple excuse making. It's a cognitive shortcut, an efficient way for our brain to maintain a positive self-image in a world full of potential missteps. This self-serving bias feels good in the moment. It preserves our ego. But this short-term comfort comes at a steep price. It creates friction in our relationships and paralyzes teams, turning potential allies into adversaries. By constantly pushing forward outward, we sacrifice the most valuable prize of any failure, the lesson. We shut down introspection and lock ourselves out of personal growth. The very mechanism designed to protect us also keeps us stuck. And this is just on an individual level. What happens when this tendency to find a scapegoat scales up, infecting an entire organization or society? The fear of risk. Consider two paths. One is worn and familiar, promising safety. The other disappears into the unknown, holding the potential for great reward, but also for failure. For most of us, an invisible force holds us back from that second path. It is a feeling baked into our DNA, the fear of risk. Psychologically, this is often explained by loss aversion. The idea is simple. The pain of losing $10 feels far more intense than the pleasure of finding $10. Our brains are hardwired to protect what we have, even at the cost of what we might gain. This isn't a modern glitch in our thinking, it is an ancient survival mechanism. For our ancestors, the rustle in the bushes was more likely a predator than a meal. The cautious ones, the ones who avoided the unknown, passed on their genes. Our genes. Today, that same prehistoric alarm system governs our lives. It is the voice that tells you to stick with a stable but unfulfilling job. It is the impulse that makes an investor panic sell during a minor market dip. The perceived threats have changed from tigers to financial loss or social embarrassment, but the neurological response remains identical. Our instinct is to retreat to safety. But this instinct has a critical flaw. It is calibrated for a world of immediate, physical threats, making it notoriously bad at judging the complex risks of modern life. It causes us to overestimate the dramatic and ignore the slow, creeping dangers that pose the greatest threat of all. Habitual procrastination. It starts with a single, manageable task. that email you need to send, the phone call you need to make. But instead of doing it, a powerful impulse takes over. You check social media. You suddenly decide to organize a bookshelf. You promise yourself you will get to it later. Soon, that single task is joined by others, creating a constant, low-level hum of anxiety in the back of your mind. This isn't a failure of time management. It's not about being lazy. Habitual procrastination is a deeply emotional response. When we face a task we find unpleasant, stressful, or just plain boring, our brain's ancient limbic system perceives it as a genuine threat. This is the part of the brain that handles our fight or flight response. Its goal isn't long-term success, its goal is immediate relief. And the fastest way to relieve the discomfort of that dreaded task is to simply do something else. Anything else. This act of avoidance delivers a hit of relief, a powerful reward that our brain quickly learns to crave. A destructive habit loop is born. The trigger of an unpleasant task leads to the routine of avoidance, which delivers the reward of temporary comfort. Each time we repeat this cycle, the neural pathway gets stronger. We aren't just putting off work, we are actively training our brains to procrastinate. The original task, of course, hasn't gone away. It is still there, waiting. And we know it is there, which only adds to the stress. So the real paradox is this: if we know it will only make things worse, why does our brain keep falling for the same trick?